Well, good evening again, ladies and gentlemen, to Super Old Game Saturday. I have a very special one lined up for you this week because today is November 21st, 2020, and 30 years ago today in 1990 was the release of, not Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle, of Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse from Sega for the Sega Genesis. We're using the Sega Genesis Mini for this one, by the way, even though I do have a copy of the game myself. And to celebrate this game, because this is one of the best games ever made starring this character, and there's been a lot of good games with Mickey Mouse. I played a couple for this channel. I played World of Illusion, which is also on this unit, by the way, and Mickey Mania for the Sega CD. But today we're going back to the one that, in a sense, for Sega at least, started it all. This is where Sega was using this in their commercials to specify that, yeah, you couldn't do this on Nintendo, and they were kind of right in some ways with what this game is doing and how, and also that sometimes is better received than some of the other Mickey Mouse games of that time. Well, some of them. There's definitely some good ones that Capcom made, but today is Sega Genesis time to shine. Now, we're going to handle this a little differently as far as a playthrough. The first thing I'm doing is, as I said, I'm using my Sega Genesis Mini for this because I want to show it off, and because Sega went to the trouble of actually relicensing this from Disney. So I want to show off the Sega Genesis Mini really quickly before we get started. And then we're going to play through the game twice, and you're probably wondering, that doesn't sound like there's a reason for that. Well, there kind of is, and don't worry, it won't take long for the first playthrough. So, again, I'll explain that when we get into it. But first, I want to go over what the Sega Genesis Mini is if you don't happen to own this. This is an $80 unit that actually is now $50 on Amazon if you go get it now. That comes pre-packaged with 45 Sega Genesis games on it and 2 controllers. And it's a nice little device, even for if you're new to Genesis or you've loved Genesis all your life. This is a great little pickup with a lot of good games in it, good design of the hardware, and it's just really a nice thing that you definitely should pick up if you haven't. And as I said, one of the points I want to do here is show off this unit because I haven't showed this off yet. Just tell you what we're dealing with here and show you also what games we have. So we're going to go through a brief thing of this, and then we'll get to the Castle of Illusion part of it. Or if you really want to think about it this way, with Thanksgiving next week, you consider this almost like a 3-course meal. I got your appetizer here as far as, this game, the unit, and showing that off. The soup salad section of, the first playthrough I'm going to be doing of the actual game, and then the actual playthrough. And we'll explain that. Yeah, you're in good moods tonight as far as seeing Sega, but yeah, Sega Genesis Mini. Let's go over what this has very briefly before we get to the game proper. It has Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle, which came out in 1989. Not really a great game, in all honesty. Not the best game in the series. There were 3 other ones on the Sega Master System that were better, particularly... 3 or 4. There are a couple on the Sega Master System that are better, particularly the Shinobi World one. I could show that off one day. Next is Alicia Dragoon from 1992, which was developed by Game Arts, the team behind the Lunar games and Powerful Mail. It kind of plays like Powerful Mail, actually, as far as being like a 2D side-scrolling sort of shooter, sort of not, but that's one I could show off at some point. Altered Beast, which came out in 1989. This was actually bundled in with the Sega Genesis when it first released. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog was what people associate Sega with, but Sonic wasn't around for the first 2 years of the Genesis. Again, it was Altered Beast and other games that were there, but this came packed in. It's kind of aged, but it's definitely interesting to go back to. Beyond Oasis from 1995, which was kind of like a Zelda-like game as far as the way it played, from Ancient, the team who made Streets of Rage 2 and has the score done by Yuzo Koshiro, who did Streets of Rage as well. Castle of Illusion, which I mentioned, came out on this day 30 years ago in 1990. Again, before Sonic, Mickey Mouse was kind of the de facto platforming mascot of Sega, if you want to really think of it that way. Next is Castlevania Bloodlines from 1994, which I played a few weeks ago. It was on the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, but it's also in this unit. And when you think about the price of this unit when it first came out, it was $80. A copy of this goes for well over $80, so getting that and everything else that's on it really makes this a deal, especially now that it's $50 on Amazon. So if you don't have this unit, I highly suggest you get it. You will not be disappointed. Next is Columns from 1990, which is a port of the arcade puzzle game. I know a lot of people who don't like this game. I think it has its charm, and a lot of people are saying, well, it was their poor man's take on Tetris, and, well, I think that, hold that thought, because we're going to get to that. We're going to come back to that a little bit. Next is Comic Zone, released in 1995 from Sega Technical Institute. It was a cool-looking, hand-drawn sort of 2D beat-em-up that I have issues with, honestly, with how insanely difficult it is. One life, no continues, but there's certain areas you can kind of continue. It has great presentation, but it also has some really weird design choices that make me not like it, but I do respect it to an extent. And definitely showcasing some of the power of the Genesis late into its life. So, again, another one we can get to. Next is Contra Hardcore, another one that costs a lot to find from Konami. This is the only entry in the Contra franchise that Sega got. Also one of the hardest games of the franchise, if you can believe that. And it's in here, and we could show that off at some point. Now, Darius, looking at that and saying, hey, this is release year of last year. What happened? Well, Darius is an arcade shoot-'em-up game that had variances on the Genesis. I know Darius Twin is a game that's really well done. It's from Taito, this one. Now, this collection, or this unit, the porting jobs were done by M2, who has done a lot of great port work in the past, and I've probably mentioned them more than once. For this unit, they decided, you know, we could put something like Darius Twin on here. Let's take the Darius arcade game, let's do a demake of it, and make it specifically for this unit. So that's what they did. They just said, let's take this 1986 arcade shooting game, make a Genesis variant. So this is a new game. So the only place you can get this is on this unit. So kind of an interesting way to go about that. Do Life Force? I can do Life Force. That is on the Nintendo Switch Online, which, again, I do have. That is available that way. I don't actually own a copy of that, but that's one we could go about. Next is Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, a puzzle game that's based on Puyo Puyo 2, and actually, this unit has, I won't show this off, but I'll just tell you, you go in the settings, you can set the languages as far as the games. I actually changed the box art specifically to like the Japanese games. Now, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine was specific for the US, and it basically is a reskin of Puyo Puyo 2. If you turn on the Japanese language option in there, you actually come back, you get Puyo Puyo 2, the Japanese version, as the Japanese variants of this game. You can do this with every game, by the way. You can turn on the other regions' versions, and you'll have different things like name change for Bloodlines, game change technically for this one, name change for this one, changes for like region, particularly for Europe and Japan, and you get that all in the package. But in this case, it gives you an extra game. Dynamite Heady from Treasure from 1984. We've played this before. It was one of the first games I played for this. I love this game, and I'll come back to talking about Treasure again in the future, don't you worry. But again, also there's some differences with the Japanese version, and turn Japanese on here, you got Japanese version. Next, you have Earthworm Jim. They went to Interplay and licensed this 1994 platform game, which definitely this is one of the better versions of the game. I'd say it's probably better than the Super Nintendo for reasons I'll get into when I play this. And I have a physical copy of this too, but yeah, the Genesis one is the one you want to get, and the cheapest of the ones you'd want to get compared to the Sega CD version, which is better, but it costs a fortune. Next, Echo the Dolphin, released in 1992. This is one I've actually been getting people talking to me about very recently, saying, hey, you want to talk about this Echo the Dolphin game? And also kind of a weird backlash on this game because of how cryptic and difficult it is. And I get that, but definitely is an interesting change of pace as far as a weird exploration of, sea life as it's done. We can look at that sometime. Eternal Champions, I actually never played this until I got this unit. This is a fighting game from 1993 from Sega that had some variances on other systems, particularly the Sega CD, and they were going to do a Dreamcast version. Kind of comic-themed with a lot of blood. They're kind of going Mortal Kombat. It's not as good as Mortal Kombat, I'm not going to lie. And it also used the Activator, the Sega accessory that came out around the same time. I actually bought my girlfriend an Activator. She wanted one really badly. It was more for collecting than making sure it works, but, well, I'll bring it up when I talked about an Activator game. Next, on the list, we got a couple more. Again, we'll be going through this, then we'll get to the game proper. Next is Ghouls and Ghosts from 1989. This was a home port of the Capcom arcade game. That's definitely a very difficult game, although not the hardest in this franchise of good old Sir Arthur the Knight. Oh, shit, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to go to Ghouls and Ghosts, but actually one thing I can show off is if I hold Start for 5 seconds, you get an option to go back to the main menu, and you get menus. Okay, we're not playing Ghouls and Ghosts, sorry. Or Ghouls and Ghosts. I always get that in Ghosts and Goblins, because they're technically two different games. Ghosts and Goblins was the original game, then this was the sequel, and then there's Super Ghouls and Ghosts. It goes weird ways. Next is Golden Axe from 1990. Yeah, 1990. This was an arcade game as well. Hard game, just get infinite lives. Yeah, that's true. And sort of with this one as well. This was a beat-em-up, medieval-themed, that again, was based on an arcade game. They made up for it with Genesis as far as giving you extra stages, so there's that aspect. And we can go into Golden Axe at some point, because that's a good one. Gunstar Heroes. Ooh, this is one that also is worth the price of this unit. This came in 1993. This is the first game developed by Treasure, so there's a couple of games of theirs on here. We're going to play this game one of these days. I want to show this game off so badly. This is a fantastic 2D run-and-gun shooter. Again, Treasure made this, and you have options of switching weapons and mixing weapons, and it is terrific. We will get to that when we get to that because it is great. And I'll probably be playing it through this because this is the best port of it that I own that I can show on this. The other version of this I really like is actually on the 3DS. But next up we have Kid Chameleon from 1992. This is a platform game, kind of in the theme of Super Mario Bros. 3 and Kirby in a lot of ways, because you're this cute, cool kid who has attitude in the 1990s arcade. He's sucked into the video game, and he has to pick up these disguises to have new powers, like becoming a knight or turning into basically Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, throwing axes. So that's an interesting one. Landstalker, this is a game that came in 1993, very Zelda-like. I actually only found out about this game, or first played it for the first time, only about 2 years ago. I don't know what I was thinking. Why did I let this game pass me by? You know, do you ever play a game, or you ever play a game when you're older and you realize, got a quick game we'll talk about later. I've heard that show's very good. I've heard it's really interesting, and there's a lot going on to that. As far as Landstalker is concerned, I mean, telling a good story as far as that, this game definitely does that and does it uniquely, and it's one of those games that, again, I really wish I'd played this growing up, but it's in this, and it's also really good. Light Crusader, another game from Treasure, one I had not really heard of much of or played until this. This is the last, or either the last or the second to last game they made for this. It's either this or Alien Soldier, which isn't on this, but I have Alien Soldier as well. We can look at that at some point, too. This is kind of a top-down action RPG with some weird, kind of humorous aspects to it. Then there's Mega Man The Wily Wars. Now, this was sort of released in the US, but not really. It was released on the Sega channel. That was a downloadable service that Sega had. You connect it to your cable, or to your dial-up modem, or your cable box, and you could download Genesis games into this temporarily. You know, like kind of like what, you know, PlayStation Now and Microsoft Game Pass are doing. But again, this was back in the 90s. That was the only way this game was playable in the US. They didn't do a physical release. It was in Japan and Europe they did it, and this is one of the first examples of them bringing it here. Basically what it is, it's a port or an enhanced version of Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 for the Genesis with a new mode, Wily Tower, which really adds a lot of interesting aspects to that. That might be an interesting one to go through when I get back to Mega Man again, although I don't know if I would just go through the 3 on the NES and then play the Wily Tower of this, or what, but I'll figure that when I get to it. But again, this is one of the only places you can get this officially. I think there was another handheld Genesis unit that Sega licensed. They didn't actually put that one out themselves. This one they did, and they went to Capcom and said, hey, can we have this on there? And, well, here it is. And, again, another situation there, you'll want to have this unit because it's way expensive to get the Europe or Japanese versions. Next is Monster World 4. Now, this is saying 2012. This was also a weird case because this is a game in the Wonder Boy franchise, the Wonder Boy franchise started on the Sega Master System, and they made a bunch of versions. There was the fourth game that was only in Japan. It only first got a release here on... There was a collection for the 360 and the PS3 that had this game. That was the first time it got released in the US, but now we have it here, so you can play it as well. Next is Phantasy Star 4 End of the Millennium. This is released in 1995, the last game in the series for the Genesis. And on one hand, I'm kind of surprised they picked this one because a lot of the classic collections that have Phantasy Stars in them take 2, usually. And then the Sonic Ultimate Genesis collection took all 4 games, which was really nice. 4 is widely considered the best one, and they've got a good argument to make about that. They definitely ironed out a lot of the things that were going with 2 and 3, and really made it into an epic feel. I mean, it was something that when this came out, a lot of people were talking about what Square had on the Super Nintendo, like Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. So this didn't get maybe as much attention, but if you're a Sega stalwart, you probably know this game, you probably love it, and nowadays gives people a chance to go back and play it. So that's there. Next is Road Rash 2. This is from EA, released in 1992. And yeah, we were able to go to EA and say, hey, we want this racing game where you're basically beating the hell out of people with chain pipes and knocking them off the road. There were variations of this franchise going back on other systems and also onto a lot of the CD systems at the time, like 3DO especially. So that was neat to see Road Rash coming in here. And also, it's another situation where for this classic unit, Sega's going back to a lot of other companies saying like, hey, we really want to capture what the spirit of the Sega Genesis was, with the one exception being sports games. But they're like, all right, fine, we're going to go to all these companies like Konami and EA and Disney and Capcom and say, all right, let's have these games get the licensing fees. So it's really cool that Sega did that, and it's nice to have that here. Next is Shining Force, a strategy RPG from 1993 that was developed by Camelot, who would go on to make Mario Golf and Golden Sun. And this is a great game. This is kind of one of the granddaddies of this kind of game, and it's a game I often talk about a lot and want to recommend to people. That's one I could show off at some point, and might have to put some time to that, though. Next is Shinobi 3, Return of the Ninja Master from 1993. This is a ninja platform combat game that is just, this might be one of the best games on this thing. That I'm just going to tell you right now. This game is so good. It looks great, sounds great, plays great. And I got to this late. Like Landstalker, this is one I didn't play until 2006 when it was in the Sega Genesis collection for the PS2. But when I found it, I was saying, what was I doing missing this game? I played Revenge of Shinobi, which isn't on this, by the way, which is also a great game. But this really just enhanced everything that game did, and I just adore this. So we're going to come back to this. Again, if there's any theme you're going to see here, is like games we're going to come back to or games I've played. Of course, it wouldn't be a Sega collection without Sonic the Hedgehog. You get the first one, the original, that eventually became the face of the Sega Genesis, and it's just as great as it ever was. Pretty basic as far as being a straight port of it compared to some other versions that were on iOS and Android or even the one on the Switch, but again, you can't mess with a classic, and they definitely don't, and they port it well, and it's fun. So, there you go. Next is Sonic 2, which I played for this channel before, and it is definitely a great enhancement on what Sonic 1 was doing, adding more speed, adding tails, and again, I talked about it, played it already, so not much need to go into it more, but if you want to get this unit, you're getting your Sonic 2, and unfortunately, you're probably noticing where's Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. Yeah, they're not in this, and I really think, I'm going to say this right now, I think we're probably never going to get those re-released ever again because of the connection with Michael Jackson with Sonic 3. After his death in 2009, if you don't know, it was revealed, there was a rumor for years saying he worked on Sonic 3's soundtrack and hid it away when he got in trouble with the law in the early 90s. And years after, when he died, they confirmed, yes, that was the case. And actually, the ending theme, Sonic 3, he actually took that and he refurbished that into an actual song. I don't remember what the name of the song was. But, yeah, so he definitely worked on that soundtrack. I think those licensing costs are why it's going to be so hard to get re-releases of that and Sonic and Knuckles. I mean, case in point, the last time we got a Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles re-release was 9 years ago on the DS. So, yeah, I hope we can get something figured to that, but unfortunately, they're not on this unit. At least not legally. You didn't hear that from me. We do have Sonic Spinball, though, which is the pinball game that was, in all honesty, kind of released as a stopgap between Sonic 3 and Sonic 2. It definitely is an acquired taste, and it's hard as anything, but for the people who grew up on it, the people who know how it works, it is definitely an interesting time, and it definitely kind of captures that 90s US Genesis grungy feel really well. Probably better than any of the other Sonic games that are on the system. Think about, which is not a different thing than saying it's a good game. I mean, it's a fine game. I think it's all right, and I think I like it better because I grew up with it. I'll be honest on that one. Next is, and we're almost at the end of this. I think we're on the second to last row, and then we'll get to Castle Illusion. Space Harrier 2. This came out in 1989. This was a sequel to the 3D perspective shoot 'em up game from the arcade. It really suffered though on the translation to the Sega Genesis. There was a lot of scaling effects they did with the arcade game. We'll show the arcade game off at some point, particularly when I show Shenmue. But the Genesis kind of wasn't up to the task. They tried. They really tried. So I got to give them credit for that, but it hasn't aged particularly well. And again, it might be one of those things that if I had played it growing up, I might have been a little more forgiving, but I didn't, so not really. Next is Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition. This was a Super Nintendo game initially, an arcade game as far as a fighting game is concerned. Then Sega was able to get Capcom to give them a version. They gave them this one, which kind of has downgrades to its graphics and audio. And the other thing to mention with the Genesis Mini as well, this comes packaged with 2 3-button Genesis controllers like it used to. But this game also is designed around 6 buttons and 6-button controllers for this thing. So you really have to play it weird if you're playing with a 3-button or either here or on the Genesis itself. So you want to use a 6-button for it. And It's not the best version of Street Fighter 2, but again, you get Street Fighter 2 in this, you get a good game to play, a really good fighting game still. You can't take that quality out, even if it doesn't look or sound as great. But here's a game that does look and sound great. This is Streets of Rage 2. The only variants of this game that's in here, because there's Streets of Rage 1 and 3 as well. But this is widely considered the best one, and I can't argue against that. This is a great beat-em-up, and probably one of the finest of the era, and there were a lot of them there. Next up is Strider from 1990. This is another one from Capcom. This was about Strider Hiryu, who does not really look that way in the game as he does on the box, but that was also the beauty of the Genesis boxes. The US ones, at least. They kind of looked off, but in a way that looked kind of interesting. Basically, you're kind of the sword guy who's just slicing things, and it's a fun one. Hard, but fun. Next up is Super Fantasy Zone from 1992. This, I believe, did not come out in the US. I think it was in Europe only. I think Sunsoft published it. Or it was weird the way they released this. But anyway, it's what they call a cute-em-up, in that it's like a 2D shooting game, but you also have like this cute Opa character, and going around shooting things, and going into shops to buy items. It's really interesting and very beautifully colorful. So there's that aspect as well. Now, Tetris. Let me explain this one. This is an interesting one because you probably remember in the olden days that Nintendo had the lock on Tetris for the most part. Tengen made a version on the NES illegally. It was pulled off the market. Sega was also making a version that they then had to cancel because Nintendo got the license for it in 1989 because they launched with the Game Boy. Sega was making a version of Tetris for this. They had to scrap it and not release it because they couldn't get rights to the license because Nintendo held it. Nowadays, Alexa Pajanoff, who made this game, he owns the rights. And this game, which certain copies were able to get onto the wild, they go for like $20,000, $30,000 because this never got officially released. So Sega was, let's go to Alexa Pajanoff, let's get the rights to Tetris, let's put that unreleased game on this unit and give it to you. To be fair, this is not the best version of Tetris you ever play, but for that very reason, yeah, paying $50 to $80 for a game that's over $20,000. You could buy a car. Yeah, it was released in 2019 because, exactly, this is the first time it's been officially released. Again, it was made in 1990, or made in 1989, 1990, but only now did we finally see it, and for that reason alone, it's like, you're getting an unreleased game on this. It's kind of like Star Fox 2 on the the Super Nintendo Classic unit, which is also an unreleased game. So, there you go. So, yeah, you're getting your Tetris fix on here, along with your Columns fix. Next up, and here we are on the last row, we've got Thunder Force 3. This is another shoot-'em-up game. I'm surprised they picked the third one. This is from Technosoft. Usually the fourth one is the one that people really liked, but this third one is still great, has fantastic music and presentation, and is hard as nails. It's the kind of game that you want out of something like this, like a Life Force, or like some of the other games I've mentioned. But that's here. Next is Toe Jam and Earl. This is another one that they kind of had to do a licensing thing to get this on this unit. But it's Toe Jam and Earl walking around in an isometric perspective on randomly generated levels, looking for the pieces of their spaceship. And it is, the 1995 one was still technically elite. Oh, the NES one? Yeah, that was 1980. I think that was 1985. You're talking about Tetris, right? That was, there were two versions of Tetris on NES, if you don't know. There's the one Nintendo license, and there's another one by Tengen, which has a two-player mode, which the NES version from Nintendo doesn't have. But Tengen made it without getting the license for it. They were taken to court by Nintendo because Nintendo had to go over to the then Soviet Union to get the rights to this. They got wind of the fact that this illegal version was released. The government in the Soviet Union thought Nintendo was going to be trying to do something with it. The guy who went over there, they actually called up Gorbachev to come and get that happening, to try and figure what's going on here. That went away. But, yeah, there's definitely a story behind that aspect of Tetris, a very interesting one. But we can go to that another time. When I do another Tetris game, and I should pick another one. But Toe Jam and Earl, that's another one I could also do at some time. Next is Vector Man. This came out in 1995. This was from Sega Technical Institute as well. This was playing on the idea of like vector graphics and like computer-generated stuff like Donkey Kong Country. There are a few versions that got the rights in the early 90s when the USSR fell. Exactly. You're right. That was what was going on. And it's a very interesting story. Again, see, it's funny. I haven't even started playing the game yet that we're going to be playing, but there's still a lot to talk about and a lot of memories to be had. Vector Man, again, is kind of a platform shooter in a way like a Metroid, but it's more focused on action, and personally, I like its sequel a little more than this. This is a game I did not like when I first played it. I've kind of grown on it a little more, and I do like some of the style. But again, we can get to that. And as the box shows, it had a contest of playing to win. Yeah. Next up is Virtua Fighter 2. Now you're wondering, wait a second. Virtua Fighter 2 is an arcade game, a 3D arcade game, and then it came out to the Sega Saturn in 1996. And I think this came out in 1996. They might be wrong about this, but again, don't quote me on that. Anyway, they did put Virtua Fighter 2, a 3D fighting game, on the Genesis, but they made it 2D, which made sense as far as what the Genesis was concerned. This is widely considered one of the black sheep of the Virtua Fighter franchise for that very reason, but it plays fine as far as in 2D, a bit slower. And first, if you want the worst game of Virtua Fighter that connected to that, that's Virtua Quest on the PS2 and the GameCube, which basically is like a worse take on Shenmue mixed with Mega Man Battle Network, but not as good as either one. That is a freaking disaster. But thankfully, we don't have to talk about that one, and it's expensive enough on one of the systems that I don't think I'll ever need to play it for this, unless you say to me, let's see how bad this really is. Now, going back to Monster World 4, here's the first one. Wonder Boy, or not, I don't know if this is the first one. This is the second one. This is Wonder Boy and Monster World from 1992. You have your little Wonder Boy guy. It's kind of like a 2D platforming RPG, sort of. It's kind of like Zelda 2, a little bit, in that you're kind of going around certain areas, defeating enemies, and then getting money in order to upgrade your weapons and defeat, the evils around the world. And lastly, is a game I played for this channel before. This is World of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, which ties nicely into the game I'm playing because this is the second, or third, technically, game in the Illusion series of Disney games that Sega made on the Genesis, the Sega Master, and the Game Gear. And again, I played this game before. I could feasibly play this game again because I played as Mickey Mouse last time, and with Donald Duck, he has unique levels, and in two-player, there's also unique levels. So actually, I have rationale to play this game 2 more times. But maybe we'll do that another time. But with all that said, with all the discussion of all the games in this, a nice little half-hour preview. This is also to make up for me beating Animaniacs last week in a little over an hour. I was surprised I beat that quickly to 100% that way. I mean, I did a practice run right before, so maybe that helped. But anyway, now we're getting into the game that I birthed this idea from. This is Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse from 1990. Came out today, 30 years ago in Japan. I cannot believe it's been that long. And I grew up playing this, and I love this game to death. So let's get this baby started, all right, now let's get this started. All right, let's see. We do have a plot to go through, but it's not going to be long. So once upon a mouse. Oh, I love that opening. And this opening, this music. Alright, so we're in Vera City where life is joyful and everyone lives in peace. And clearly Mickey and Minnie are very happy. Well, one isn't. One who was jealous of Minnie's beauty and popularity was the witch Miserabelle. And one day, Miserabelle, looking like the witch from Snow White, comes and takes Minnie away. So Mickey had to do something by chasing after the witch Miserabelle, and he chased her all the way to the Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse. Released in 1990, again for the Sega Genesis. There were also versions on the Sega Master System and Game Gear that were kind of different, and actually I've never played those, but I want to play them, because I love this game so much. It was from 1990, from all that, and I just want to put that in there. That's before it gets to the demo, but if I hit start, we're going to skip that, and we're going to get into the game proper. Now, I said we're playing this game twice. You're wondering why. There's no reason to play a game like this twice. Well, actually there is, because we have difficulty options in this game. Hit the C button, you turn your little, record player around, and you have 3 difficulties. You have practice mode, you have normal mode, and you have hard mode. We're going to be playing practice and normal, and the reason we're going to be doing that is because, and this is a great situation with this game, because with a character like Mickey Mouse, the whole point of Mickey Mouse is intended for everyone. If you looked over the years, as far as a lot of the Mickey Mouse cartoons, there are ones that are aimed at children, ones you could watch with families, and the ones that were dark as hell, like the Mad Doctor. When we played some Mickey Mania, we kind of went into some of those. Or if you've played Mickey Mania, same situation. The game kind of works the same way, because they give you a practice mode, which is a shortened version of the game, only about 10 minutes. Something that feasibly kids who've never played a game before, they could pick up this controller that I'm holding in my hands, that you can't see me holding in my hands, and play this game to completion and get an understanding of how it works and have a lot of fun with it that way. Then adults, or when kids have finished on practice mode and they want to kind of get their wheels going a little bit, they can play it on normal, which gives you the full game as is, with some changes to make it harder, as well as more bosses. And then if you really want to challenge yourself, and I can't do it this way, this is the hard mode, which is the same as the normal mode, except your health is cut down. You can only take 2 hits as opposed to 3, and you have to go through the entire game with bosses taking double the damage, and fewer health items for you to pick up, fewer items for you to pick up in general, and you have no continues. So you have to beat the entire game in one sitting, unless you're using this device, in which case you could use save states. But what we're going to be doing for this playthrough is we're going to be playing on practice for about 10 minutes. We're going to go through that completion, so we'll give a bit of a preview of what we're going to see, and then we're going to go to the normal mode, and we're going to play through the whole game. Because normal, I can beat that no problem. And if I have trouble, particularly at the last boss, I can do save states. I don't think I will need to, but again, that's the other reason I did it on this one, so I'll have a safety net. We're not going to run a situation, though, where I'm going to be worried or stuck in situations of being in trouble. Trust me on that one. I've been playing this game for 30 years, so I know what I'm doing. We're going into practice mode. I'll get the story going of Mizrabel using the powers of illusion to make herself look like Minnie and Minnie look evil like her. And so we have to find the 3 gems that will make Mizrabel see beauty in herself. But be careful, the gems are protected by the Master of Illusion. Also, they're protected by those guys, and we gotta fight them. Well, at least cutscene Mickey will fight them. And they give you a little bit of a preview of what's going on. And also an interesting thing about the storyline on this, that plot, if you've ever played Banjo-Kazooie, might sound familiar because it kind of took it from this game. And here's another funny thing. They did a remake of this game in 2013, which is a downloadable game. I don't think you can buy it anymore on the 360 in particular. But what they did was, they did the remake, and you have Grant Kirkhope, who did the music for Banjo-Kazooie, doing the music for that game. Alright, I'm going to jump over this guy and then bounce on him. And now I'm going to finish my story, which is, Grant Kirkhope did the music for the remake, and of course he did the music on Banjo-Kazooie, which borrowed the plot of this game, so it's kind of an interesting situation of coming full circle. Spinning a speedrun of Life Force. Yeah, but that'd be an interesting one to speedrun, and this is also an interesting one to speedrun too, in terms of what I've seen of it. And actually, technically, I guess if I'm playing through practice, this is kind of going to be speedrun. But anyway, we're in the Enchanted Forest with this gorgeous, gorgeous music, gorgeous visuals, gorgeous atmosphere. It just screams Disney. And anyway, how this works, if you've never played this game before, is it's just a platformer. But when you jump in the air, and you press either the C, jumping is on the C button. We press that, and then hit C again. You do a bounce like that. Or you can also press down on the D-pad if you want. And when you use that bounce, when you jump on enemies, you won't hurt them. But if you bounce on them, you will. And then they'll die usually in one shot. As you hold the button down, you can kind of bounce up a little higher. And also, you're running into situations here where you can jump onto ropes. And swing along. And those stars, by the way, they give you health, but because my health is full now, they give me points. And I believe it's every 40,000 points. Gives you an extra life. For the purpose of the practice mode, we're not going to need that. Because this is going to be no problem. Okay, but I'm going to get hit, which is fine. And also bounce on the flower. You can also bounce on that spit he's shooting out. But, again, for the purposes, this is going to be a nice little, relaxing run. And then we'll get to the actual game. Now, you probably notice I've also been picking up apples. And when you pick them up, press the B button or the A button, you throw them. And you can use those to defeat enemies. You can also use them to defeat bosses when we get to bosses in normal mode. But in that case, you have to hit them double the amount of hits that you would need by jumping on them. But here we are at the end of the first level, and we got one of the gems already. So, there we go. Here's the red gem. We have much more to do to save Minnie. Well, kind of more to do. But again, there we go. And with that, you also get clear bonus, secret bonus, and technical bonus, which for years I wondered what technical bonus was. It's basically how many times you get hit. I think I got hit once, so I got docked on that a little bit. But if you go through with a no damage run, you're going to be fine and get more points. For the purpose of practice mode, it's fine. Now we're going through the castle. We're going to go through each of these doors. Next up in practice mode is the Toy Palace. We have those little soldiers we saw before. And when you go to different worlds, you also have different item types. You also have planes falling there. So in that case, I also have marbles. They work the same way that apples do. There's no difference in them except for the graphics, but basically you just need to pick new items up when you go into levels. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And this seems pretty easy. Again, it is, because it's practice mode. But again, get children used to this, and as I like to say nowadays, because I have friends in college who are now married with children, and they really like the idea, like when I'm talking about gaming or things, because I have like an Instagram that I do that with, and I should put a link to that in the description. But anyway, I mentioned that, like, oh yeah, I love these games, like, I want something to play with my kids. It's like, yeah, I'm like, sure, absolutely, something like this. And this is a great game to be playing with your kids, but also to get your kids into classic gaming, because I advocate that very strongly. From an early age, get them playing, and this is a great game to get them playing, especially nowadays, where you're thinking, oh, right, that's a clown. We'll get into that when we actually play through the game, but we saw him there, and we'll see him again later. But, as I was saying, yeah, you have kids, and you want to get them into games, especially nowadays with, you know, all these advanced graphics, and sure, there's games to show off like that, stuff like Mario Kart 8, and Super Mario Galaxy, or Super Mario, well, actually, Galaxy as well, because it's in the 3D All-Stars collection. But like Super Mario Odyssey and things like that, like Zelda and things like that, the modern releases. Yeah, I mean, that's one way to go about, but also get them prepared, make them remember, like, okay, what did gaming look like 30 years ago? And basically teaching the idea that, you know, it's not always graphics or technology. You can have all the technology in the world or none at all, make a game that's either really bad or really good. This is a case of really good. By the way, this is an extra try. Now, that's a life. Now, here's the thing about that, just to give a little background. When it came to the licensing with Disney, with Sega, the idea is when you're playing a game and you lose all your power, you're going to die. Well, Nintendo doesn't like that. They don't, or not Nintendo. Well, actually, no, Nintendo doesn't like that usually, but Disney doesn't like it either. And so they said, well, we're making these games. We're fine with the concept of Mickey dying, but he's not going to be dying. You're going to be collecting tries so that when you get a game over, you're going to be seeing another message of saying, like, okay, he screwed up. But instead of, you know, dying. But anyway, that's another thing. But I picked a life up, so we're fine. And we're already at the level, and we got the orange gem. This is the orange gem. We still have a long way to go before you can save Minnie. Again, sort of. We're on practice, but yeah, there we go. That bling means that I got an extra life. Or an extra try, I should say that. But anyway, that's level 2. And now next we have the final door of practice mode. Yeah, practice mode is short, but again, get kids involved, get them to play. And as I play, when we get into the actual game, I'll talk more about aspects of like the music and how these areas look. And God, just look at this. Even you're saying like, oh, if you've been raised on modern games as far as how graphics and technology work, just look at the art direction here. Look at the color palette. Look at the aspects of clouds. Look at the parallax scrolling of the clouds in the background. Look at how I'm walking on this bridge and parts of the bridge are falling off. Look how smooth this game is. Look at the animation of Mickey, for that matter. As I'm standing, him swaying there. Him jumping and doing that bounce thing. The fish jumping out there. The bats coming there. It's just gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. Even like the way the water is going here. As far as like the water flow. Now, what we got to do here is we do need to, and again, we're going to see these stages later, and again, I'll explain why, but what we need to do is we need to go down, because we have water down there, and Mickey can swim, thankfully, but he can't get out of the water. When I go up here, that's it, but I swim around and go, but yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to go and look for the water spout area that'll take me out, and take me out to the end of the level, but it's not there, so this is kind of a little bit of a maze. So I think you go down here, and go down to the one that's here. Or no. Okay, maybe it is the one at the end. I know that I'm used to how this works on normal, so in that way, that's probably why I'm kind of wandering around. Because there is another one that takes you towards the end. And that's why I went, that down there is the water that I came through. That's why I came there. I think there's two of them. So let's go down the one at the back here. There we go. Alright, so they changed some of the level design actually up because it's a little different. The place where I came out to the exit for practice mode is a little different than I would in the actual game, or will in the actual game. So there we go. And we're done. So there we are, about 10 minutes. We're done with the game, or at least the practice mode of the game. So let's see what happens next. Alright, well, all the gems I need. We walk outside, and we're going to get over to that. And actually, for practice mode, we're basically paying off Miserville. Like, yeah, I'll give you the gems, just get out of here and let me have my girl back. And that's what we did. So, good job. We saved Minnie from the evil witch. Now, test your skills with the normal option, and many new and exciting levels ahead. So, there we go. That's why I'm doing both practice and normal. And with that, and at 40 minutes, we're going to be starting the actual game proper. But again, give you a little perspective of what this game works like, what it's doing with its difficulty. And with that said, we're going to go into normal, and this is going to be the rest of the playthrough. We're going to be going through every single level of this game, and we will be beating this game. And again, it will be a little longer than Animaniacs last week. I mean, already it's almost as long. I was over halfway done with that game last week, but it's not going to happen this week. This is not a super long game, but again, we're going to have a bit of fun with this. And again, going through my memories and any of your memories, chat, of this game or any other game with Mickey Mouse. Feel free to mention any one you want. But also, before I go to that, we have to collect 7 gems in a normal game and also on hard. So we have the power to overcome her with those. So we're not going to be paying her off this time. We're going to have to, get our hands dirty. But anyway, as I was saying, I said, chat, if you have any memories or things you remember of any game with Mickey Mouse before, or any bad memories, feasibly, because I was mentioning there's some other games at this time that were not so hot. I know people hate on Mickey Mouse Capades on the NES, which I've actually never played that game. That was Capcom who made it, but yeah, feel free to let me know, and we'll have more of a discussion. And discussion on this game or other games on the Genesis like it. So, okay, here we are in normal. We're back in the Enchanted Forest. Same situation as before. The only difference is that we have more enemies that are showing up. My power level is at 3 instead of 5. And so, given that, I'm going to have to be a little more careful. I can't just be completely, cavalier. Although, to be fair... Oh, and also the logs will jump now. But to be fair, we're still going to be alright. And again, compared to how this is on hard, which just changed the level a little bit as far as the items you pick up, you still have a little bit of breathing room here. And again, because I played this game well enough, we're in good hands. And definitely good hands to show off... Oh, there we go. That was me bouncing off of that little seed it was spitting out. But yeah, we're in good hands with this one, and I am just loving showing this game to you. Of all the games I think I've done for this Super Old Games Saturday segment, I think I might have wanted to show this one off the most of all of them. Not necessarily because people haven't played this, because I know this game was very popular. I know this game was very well liked. I know they've re-released this game a couple times on this and on the Sega Saturn in Japan. And again, they made a Game Gear version, they made a Sega Master System version. But at the same time, it's one of those things that, at its 30th anniversary, and just to remind people that, yeah, this game is around, I just want to show this off. So, okay, unlike when we were in practice mode, this was the end of the level, but not now. We're in the actual game, so we got to go to another section. I run into that situation, and we also run into the jumping trees. But again, you can kind of stay back and be all right. Also, we run into pits. Yeah, you fall over these, you lose a try. I keep wanting to say die, but yeah, Mickey's not dying. And you definitely, the thing about the jumping here is that, as you see a little bit, you kind of have a little bit of a floatiness to it, but that's kind of good. It's because it means that you can make little cavalier jumps like that. And also, in this case, I can jump on the rope. And by doing that, I swing into the butterflies, the little birdies, and I'll kill them instantly just by touching them, which is very nice, unless I just totally miss them. Also, there's a try down there, so I will, hit into the mushroom. It is nice, I swing on that, and I get to kill the enemies. It's not like Mickey Mania, where I'm swinging on those ropes in the Mad Doctor level, and I'm touching things and dying. By the way, that life is not there on hard, so that's also why it's really more difficult, because they changed the level design a little bit. But with that, we're near the end of the section, and we gotta go down a hill, but... Oh, we have an apple, so we gotta start running. And you run, by the way, automatically when you jump down one of these slopes, like that. But also you hear the rumbling, and so more apples are gonna come. But, yeah, like that. That's running downwards. We're gonna see more of that as we go along. But now we also see when we get to an exit sign, we have a door. Okay, and I remember growing up with this game. As a young kid, I didn't know what the hell I was doing here, and there's a bottomless pit down there. So we gotta be careful on the leaves. But it is so serene and calming going dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. It's like, yeah, I'm in the spider's web on the trees, and yeah. But the other thing you can do is you can take a massive shortcut to make a jump like that. You have to be very specific making that jump, but you can make it. And on hard, this section is harder because those leaves, I'm jumping on the leaves, some of them are moving when I jump on them. On hard, they move left and right, and on their own. And sometimes they can clip through the other leaves, and it's going to be very difficult to tell which ones you can jump into. But, since we're playing on normal, that's not a factor. And you also have more of those little birds or butterflies, whatever they are, that are causing trouble. So, again, hard is way harder. And down there's an item, but there's also a pit kind of in between two leaves. And I'm at full health anyway. The only thing that would do for me is get me points, and I'm alright with that. Again, I'll probably get a lot from my technical bonus anyway, so with that, jump up here, and we're out. Now here we are in the forest, definitely nice and enchanted, but as the music's suggesting, well, it's getting a lot more spooky out here. As you can see, it's like, yeah, dark clouds. If you ever, the way I always associate this, I always associate with like the Disney Halloween stuff, like the old cartoons, they're themed around that, and you kind of get some echoes of that too, like with the Lonesome Ghosts here, or perhaps with, not necessarily something Mickey related, but if anybody out there is familiar with the Adventures of Ichabod Crane, basically the take they did on Sleepy Hollow, then you can go about that. By the way, I'm bouncing on those ghosts. You hold the C button while you're bouncing on them, you'll bounce higher, otherwise you'll just bounce like, okay, no, I can't get back there if I don't do that. Then you won't go as high. But I'm also collecting the diamonds. They'll give you points. And again, because I'm at full health, star will give me points instead of power. Yeah, like... Actually, no, I'll show on this last one. There you go. If you don't hit the jump button or hold the jump button on them, you just bounce a little lower. For a while, when I was younger, I never got that. And then I realized, well, all right, later, I'll have to go about this. All right, there's a bag that gives you 10 items of whatever you have in this stage. And in that case, you have a maximum of 30. And when you hit your max, you also get points. Yeah, and in these tight corners, that's what you want to do. You need to throw your apples or marbles when we get to levels that have marbles. Especially here. Basically, you have to pretty much jump, or duck and throw, and then jump and throw. And again, they give you a lot more items to pick up here than on hard. And obviously, we didn't see this on practice. But I'm going this way because I want to see, well, that bat, who comes down a little differently on hard, because he seems like the enemies will chase you much more that way than they will on normal, but still not a walk in the park necessarily on normal. Also, these enemies will respawn, so you gotta throw more apples at them. If you don't have any, you have to tank a hit, but on normal, you're not gonna run into that situation. Alright, here we are at the exit, and now we have a boss. We have to fight this log, who moves a lot faster across the ground in hard, but then when he hits the tree like that, he throws those acorns out, and you bounce on him. Do that 5 times and he's dead. On hard it's 10, but the hardest part of this is not necessarily getting the sense of the pattern, but seeing where the acorns are going to fall, because that's random. Of course, enjoy that kicking piece of music. It's because, if you haven't noticed, or if you haven't heard it because I'm talking over it, this is some glorious music. I think that's the last hit. Alright, with that, he is done, and we have the red gem. Here's the red gem. We have much more to do to save Minnie, and yeah, it is a lot. It is much more, because we have to get 7 gems instead of 3. Same idea as far as score, though. You get clear bonus, technical bonus, and when you hit 40 so thousand points, you get an extra life. And the secret bonus, I believe, is regards to finding secret areas and items, like where I went for the health at the end of the last level. All right, another door. What could be inside? All right, well, what's inside is the Toy Palace again, but we're in a little bit of a different place for it. And we got to make a long climb because here's the exit, but the door is locked. So we got to go up and get the key. And we got to avoid the soldiers there. But we're going to see a couple other enemies than just the soldiers. Particularly in those question mark boxes, the jack-in-the-boxes. We can bounce on them when they come out, but they're not going to always be there. And they also will sometimes come to the side, so you have to time it or fall right through them, which probably is a better idea than just hitting them. But they will come back, so we got to be careful about that. Or you just make that jump without it, so it's not really much of a difference either way. And as I'm making this climb, again, we're seeing the planes again, like we saw before, and the soldiers, but you can also find secret areas like up there. Actually, you know what? That's fine. I took the hit so that I can get full health when I go up there. There we go. Yeah, again, just to go into this quickly while making this climb, because it's mostly... Okay, I just got hit by him, but it's mostly going to be the same thing you're seeing as I go along, but I just love the way this game plays. Again, it's floaty as far as how the jumps and the movement feel, but it also means that you have a lot of control on where you're going to go and where you're going to land. So you can make kind of, you know, okay, I didn't make that, but make some jumps with some skill. So there's definitely a bit of skill to this, but it's also really easy to get into. Also, bouncing on top of this guy, get some more marbles. And they will carry over across the stages within this world. They will reset when I go to the next world. So on the last world I had apples, they're gone. In this case I have the marbles, but as I go to the next station, we'll be all set. And again, unlike on practice, we have multiple areas for worlds. So that's one other thing to keep in touch with. And also different game mechanics, as we're going to see very soon. As well as bosses. And different levels. But there we go. There's the next piece of health. And yeah, I'm realizing they give you a lot more health on normal. But again, it is very fair that way, playing on normal. Again, especially if you haven't played it before, it's something that, again, you're not necessarily going to be, you know, completely, you know, blindsided by how insanely difficult it is. That's what the hard mode is for, and it is really hard because of that. You basically have to go through a lot of that game without taking any damage, because you don't have a lot of options to pick up weapons or health. But we're almost at the top. In fact, there we are at the top. Now there's the key. Now we grab that. Everything becomes a slope, so we're running all the way down, and we have to collect, or we don't have to collect, but it's highly recommended you collect all of the gems there, all the diamonds, because they give you points. I would think if there was a modern re-release with an achievement system either on PC or on 360 or PS4 or PS3 or PS5 or Xbox Series X, I would think an achievement would be getting all of those gems. In fact, actually, this game was on the PS3. They released it as a free giveaway with the remake when it came out. It was only for PS3, and you couldn't actually buy it. You had to pre-order the remake digitally, and it was a digital release for the remake anyway. But so yeah, it was on PS3, but there was nothing as far as trophies or an achievement for anything. But, well, not for this original game. For the remake, there was. We'll get to that when we get to the remake. But with that, we open the door. Let's go to the next section. Alright. Now, we're in the next level of the toy world, and we have these springs. Now, you want to be careful of the jacket boxes there to give a sense of when they're coming out. So don't jump too high, or don't jump when they're in the area. The other thing is you need the marbles here because you got to break the walls with it. And behind some of the walls are items. Not all of them, and again, on hard they cut it down, but here there are definitely items to pick up. And of course, more enemies to bounce on. Or throw marbles at. I could feasibly be doing that as well. Alright, now here's a little difficult because I have to go down these platforms and again, avoid the jacket boxes and the one there. Yeah, I kind of just barely touched him. I don't think you can get crushed by that, though, by the way, so I think that's good. And if you jump in this wall, here's something for your secret bonus and a piece of health. Alright. So that's the other reason to use your ammo, just if you're like, oh yeah, I want to be in the way. Now, if you saw me play World of Illusion, you played that, well, you may remember the Jello. The Jello's in this too, but unlike that one, which you have to write it down to get to a certain area, you have to jump through this, because if you hit the bottom, that's an instant death, so be careful there. I'm also going to kill him. I don't need to kill him, but I'm like, no, we're going to kill him. Also, the other thing is it gimps your jumps a little bit, so the other thing you can do here to take care of the jagged boxes is and the plane is to throw your marbles. Also, by the way, I don't think if you're head is covered by the jello that you'll die, but I don't want to take that chance. Also, there's really difficult because you kind of have to tap the button to jump up there, but it does give you just enough to jump onto that platform. Alright, now we're running into the clown again, or we... Yeah, okay, yeah, there we go. Now, I didn't mention this before, but when you bounce on the clown, well, you can bounce on his juggling balls. When you hit him... Okay. It's only his unicycle left, and the unicycle will kill the other enemies, but it also can kill you, unless you bounce on it. So you can kind of use that to your advantage, and the next section, we're going to be using that to our advantage. But in the meantime, one more jump. One more wall to go through, and we should be at the end of this section. And there we go. Alright, so now we're in the area that we were in practice mode, but we're going to see a lot of changes here. A lot. Starting with, again, the enemy placements, how long it is, and this icon here. Hit that. The whole world goes topsy-turvy, and everything... And when you do that... The enemies will fall, they'll hit their heads on the ceiling, and they'll die. So if you time that right, you can take care of your enemies that way. Like that. And you pretty much need to do that on hard, because the clowns will juggle the balls at you much more rapidly than they will on normal. And they still juggle them a decent amount as well. Also, the enemies, as you saw there, they kind of pop into existence. Oh, also, you heard that. It also means I got a life. If you do... By the way, if you get, like... 40, 50,000 points during the game, you'll hear a different sound effect to indicate that you got extra life, but the idea is still the same. Alright, I missed him. I'm trying to hit him, but again, you have to time it just right, but in that case, it's probably not worth it. Alright. And again, when you're in these areas here, it pays to use your items because, again, you can't jump on them, so that's the only way you're going to be able to defend yourself. So it's good that they do give you a good option as far as how to, vary, how you're going to be able to get items. Even like that, basically bouncing off of enemies. And I want to see if I can't get... Okay, not really. But yeah, that topsy-turvy aspect, which is something we saw with Dynamite Headdy when I played that. There are a couple of the games I can think of that do that. I know, I don't think what else does it. I know Wendy Every Which Way on the Game Boy Advance did that. Or no, on the Game Boy Color. Which is one of the early games developed by Way Forward. Who made the Shantae games. And I'm trying to think of other games that do topsy-turvy. Chat, help me out if you have any other games that do have a mechanic like this. Because I know there's other ones aside from this. I don't know if this was the first one. But this is definitely one of the earliest examples that I can think of. I know Sonic and Knuckles did it as well. But that was a couple years after this one. Yeah, there you go. That's how you time it. You time it that way because as soon as you hit that, like he was throwing the ball at me, but the ball stops in midair the minute that the gravity changes. So it helps. Also going that way just for an extra item, but there's no other reason to go there, and I unfortunately can't get past that. So there's an item. I'm going to bounce off this guy to get it, just because all the points in the world are going to be better. That we're done, and we have the boss. Now, this is definitely a bit of a different situation than the last one. We have this present clown guy. He jumps on springs. When he does a jump, you want to crouch like that. Because he'll do that punch. It's random when he does it, but then he drops out the springs. You bounce on him, bounce off his head. Make sure you bounce onto him when you come down. Alright, in this case, I'm getting a little lucky as far as when he's throwing it. Just throwing it after the second one. But the easy way to handle this is as soon as he makes a jump, just duck immediately. Again, he will bounce off the sides of the screen if you get him over there. But he will follow you as far as where he's bouncing, and you see he's becoming a little more discolored as it goes along. Yeah, I'm getting in a lot of 2 cycles here, which again, I think it's random how that works. Okay, there we go, we got a third one. In fact, actually going into the speedrun thing the chat was mentioning, I've seen speedruns on that game, and okay, I didn't bounce on that one. But they say the hardest part of the speedrunning concept of this game is this boss, because it's limited unless you use an exploit. I think there's a specific exploit you can kind of get bouncing onto him no matter what. But there we go. He's dead, and we got the orange gem. Still have a long way to go, and we do. Yeah, because I got a kid a couple times. We got our technical bonus down, but we're fine. And there we go. I got an extra life along with it, so we're in good shape. I'm also getting high score, which honestly isn't going to matter for this game because there's no save option. Although, in this on this unit, I could do save state to save my score that way, but it's not really worth it either way. But alright, let's see what's in this room. Okay, now this looks a little familiar from the door. Yeah, it definitely does. So we're back on the cliffside with this epically incredible piece of music. And I don't remember if that's a pit down there, so I don't want to take my chance. I know there's some area here that has a pit. Also, the bats are a little more prominent here, but God, I love this track so much. I love this game so much, hence why I'm showing it to you. Alright, now, and also the bats will come a little more rapid. But God, I just love this. Again, I love this track, this music anyway, but just this piece of music. It always sounds so, heroic. The idea that, yeah, we're gonna be saving Minnie. We're on the mountainside. We're climbing it. And like, yeah, we're gonna do this. Just sounds so nice. And they did some nice remixes of some of these tracks in, again, the remake that they did, which, again, Greg Kirkhope did the music for that. He didn't do the music on this one. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking, because you have to jump down on that one in order to get to the end here. It's a lot shorter, but... So they do throw you a little bit of a curveball on where you need to go. But we also have a little bit of a different situation, which is the water temple in here. Yeah, long before Zelda was doing it, this game... Well, actually, I'm trying to think of Zelda 2. No, Zelda 2 didn't. And this came out before Link to the Past. So yeah, before water temples and Zelda were something you were really scared of, you want to be scared about in this game because... There are a lot of things about this that could really set you for a loop and get you killed if you're not careful, and I will point them out as we go. Well, the enemies, also the waterfalls, which kind of block your view. A nice little effect as far as the visuals, but still something you got to be paying attention to. That water over there. The water falling down there will fall, I think, at random intervals when you pass certain aspects of the level. Right, it won't go again. In fact, if I just stay here, it's not going to fall again. But if I move too fast, and I walk towards that water and touch it, that's an instant-kill, so I don't want to do that. And sometimes it's going to happen as I go, so, again, you really got to be careful with that. So yeah, normal is not screwing around anymore. But still, again, if you're careful and you take some time, because again, you don't have a time limit in this game, so you should be good, you'll be alright. Yeah, basically just wait. But then this is where things get a little harder outside of this because you have to keep an eye on where the platforms are, and they become very small, like little inches. This is where you're going to love the fact that the controls are floaty in this game. Right there, I'm making these jumps perfectly, and I'm able to completely control where I'm going. Okay, you slide a little bit there, but basically, and that's what I love about... Oh, shit! What was that? Okay, it just slid off. So much for me complimenting the controls. But okay, that's the thing you got to be worried about on this level. But I can do this fine. But anyway, hang on. I went through the whole game. This is the first time I've died. And of course, we fall. You get that "hoo," which was also the take on the "hoo" that was in World of Illusion, which I just love that. I don't think I've ever really played any other game where you have that kind of fall sound like that, as far as sounding so cute. I mean, there are other games when you fall into pits, the characters just scream. I remember, actually one of them being Sonic Unleashed, with, particularly the US version, where on the Japanese version, there's, like, groan of, like, ah, but then he'll, like, scream, like, ah, when he dies. It's just like, yeah, Sonic, or Werehog Sonic in that game, is really, like, yeah, he's not liking the fact he's fallen off that pit. And that's what you're going to be saying when you fall off pits in that game because of how that game operates. That is a game I will do at some point, but I need to buy an Xbox Series X for that because the Xbox Series X, the new set of systems that have come out, they fixed the frame rate problems that Sonic Unleashed had. This is a little bit of a tangent on my part, although it is a Sega game, so I guess it kind of fits. Sonic Unleashed ran at horrible frame rates at certain areas, even though it was targeting 30 FPS on 360 and also on PS3, where they had capped the frame rate, but it still was slowing down a lot. The power of the new systems, they are making it so that games that were targeting a specific frame rate or uncapped will run better. Sonic Unleashed runs at a locked 30 on Series X. I don't know how it's going on PS3 or how, because on PS3, the only way to get that playing on PS4 is through the PS5 is on PS Now. So I don't know how that works. I haven't seen anything about that, but again, I'm assuming that they'll fix that. That might be the best way to play it. But that's Sonic. We're back with Mickey. Oh, and watching out, that always scares me right there. That waterfall coming down, because you're going through, and you're thinking, okay, I gotta make these very specific jumps, and especially right there, we can see the exit sign. You make this next jump, don't jump too quickly, otherwise you're going to die and you have to start the level over again. And there are no checkpoints in these levels, although, to be fair, the levels are not that long, so you don't have to worry about it. Actually, funny aside, after I played Animaniacs last week, I decided, well, you know what, I want to play another licensed game. I got to play through a bad one, Wayne's World for the Super Nintendo. That's another game where it has no checkpoints and levels, but the levels are really, really long, and it's cheap as anything. Whereas this game, it's not. Now, we're not going to dwell on that. I mean, I might show that off just to show punishments of myself for something, but for now, we're going through this section. Now, how this works is, well, okay. How it works is that water will come at specific intervals. I think it's slightly random. When you hit the water, you won't die instantly, but it'll take you back and it will hurt you. So I want to take my time a little bit, wait until the water goes that way, and then it starts to fall. Okay, alright, yeah, if you're too early, you'll fall into it and get hurt. And you get pulled back. And I gotta be careful, because I am out of health. If I get a hit again, I'm gonna die. And I might... Ooh, that was close. Alright. Actually, it's kind of like running from the water in that one section in the sunken ship in World of Illusion, although I like that one where you die, this one you don't, although I do it again and I die. Okay, fine. I don't do it again and I die because I have some health, but the idea is, yeah, I don't want to do that. Alright, I'm going to hold on the edge of the platform that way. Yeah, in some ways... Oh... Yeah, it takes you back pretty far, so you don't want to do that. I mean, at the very least, I'm kind of glad I showed it off, so then it gives some credence to what I'm saying, because feasibly, I could be saying anything to you. I could be saying that if I press the B and C button, I instantly win the game, and you wouldn't, if you haven't played this game, you wouldn't say, oh, you're lying, because I made it. But I'm gonna die. Alright, so that's what happens when you, okay, lose a try. You spin off the screen and get that nice little, carnival music. Alright, so... The hardest part of this, as I said, is just the fact that the water is random. The speed of when the water recedes and when it doesn't is random. And also timing the jump specifically so that you can make it. Yeah, see, in that case, it seemed like I might have been able to make the next section, but I didn't want to take a chance. And also, the way to move faster is you move kind of slow just walking. I mean, not super slow. He does a jog, a leisurely jog, I guess, or usually walk. But when you jump rapidly the way I was, that's when you go faster, particularly when you're going along with things. So you can kind of do short jumps to kind of cover more distance. And then jump at that point. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. Alright, whoa. At this point, I can kind of avoid the water to a certain extent and just jump up there. And there's the end of the area, and we see that it's just that, I guess, structure that's spewing the water, but we're done. Alright, boss time. Now, this is going to be an interesting situation of the boss. Is this tower, at each section of this tower will pop out this merman guy. You hit him once, he breaks one of the... one of the pieces of the tower. Also, if you don't hit him quickly enough, he'll do that mirage attack, which can hurt you. But again, if you time it right, or hit him with the marble like that, you can also bounce on him, or time with the marble, which is what I'm doing. I'm just doing it the safer way. There we go. When we hit the last one off, it hits the wall, and we win. So there you go. So we're Brave Mouse. Continue on. You can't rest until Minnie is safe. Indeed, we won't. So now that we went through the sections we saw in practice mode, at least some of them Stoge motifs, what's next? Well, we'll show you. Well, before, we were only on one floor, but we have a magic staircase. We're walking up this thing, and we're going to the next section. Alright, here's another door. Wonder what's inside. Oh yeah, the library. Yeah, if you've ever played any of the Illusion games, pretty much every one of them has a library somewhere. At least it's... Yeah, actually, yeah, I think they all do. And the other one I'm thinking of is Land of Illusion for Game Gear. And then the only one I haven't played, and I really gotta fix that, that's Legend of Illusion, which is also a Game Gear game. But, yeah, when you're in the library, yeah, a lot of things to expect. Bugs, letters, books, nice hardcover books as well, and some terrific music, and also confectionery delights, like going into the bottle of milk. And in the case of the other one, in the World of Illusion game, we're going into, like, Cake World. I guess we kind of are in this one, In that case, we're going to a coffee tin. Now, I'm lying on those. That milk is deadly to the touch. I don't think you die from falling into it, but I think it hurts you. But if you're standing on those strawberry shortcakes like that, you won't be hurt when you're touching the milk just like that. But the other thing I gotta be careful of is the gummy dolphins. But again, I can bounce off them, so... Oh! Okay, yeah, that was not exactly what I wanted to do, but... Okay, I can still make that jump, so... I walk over Candy Bridge and avoid it falling. It won't fall right away, so you have some time. Hear the nice tap dancing in the library theme, which then speeds up a little rapidly as it goes along, or speeds up gradually, I should say. That's a better word to use. Alright, there we go. Alright, this one just kind of bounces, which again makes it a little harder if you're trying to avoid getting hit by those guys. Now, we're going to see something a little different here, because we've been beating levels so far, major worlds, to get the gems. But we have something a little different here. Okay, we're going to ride on the, I guess, graham cracker. To get some more apples. We're back to apples, by the way. There's the exit, but we're getting a gem out of this. So actually, we're going to be getting 3 gems out of this world. So here's the green one. This is a green gem, okay? We're trying to get past the study room. Now with that, we put a cap on the milk carton, and we're off. It also opens up the ceiling here. I do like that idea, where you're going through certain areas of this, and it opens it up a little more. Now, also a nice little touch here. Yeah, these are light fixtures. And again, they turn the lights out in the room, which is a very nice touch. And also, there's falling platforms on the shelves, so you want to be careful. And you also want to be careful of that bug there. You can jump on him feasibly, but you're probably going to take a hit, so... The easiest way to go about that is just throw... There we go. Throw the apple at him. I just was missing where I was aiming. And here comes some books up there, but those don't look particularly friendly. Just keep running, and you'll be alright. He's not a one-hit kill if they hit you, but they will hurt. Nothing there as well, but we're coming down a certain area as well. Now, there's a little teacup. Now, we can feasibly skip this by jumping up here and then... Actually, let me just show you that I can do it, and then we're not going to skip it. Okay, yeah, I can go that and go up there, and we can get to the next section of the level. But, I'm going to show this off. Yeah, we're going in the cup. We're swimming in the teacup, and we got to avoid the sugar cubes that have eyes and move up and down, or float up and down, I guess, because they're in tea. You don't have to worry, Mickey will not drown in this game. That wasn't introduced until Land of Illusion. But go to the end, go to the side. And with that, lid is on that, and we can go. Oh, whoa, hold on, what happened there? Okay, it looks like I bounced on him, but when I bounced on him, I didn't bounce up like that. That's usually how that works. Actually, it's good I have a little bit of a delay on my capture device, because as soon as that happened, I could actually look back at my screen. Because the way I have this, just to give you a little bit of a background, I have the chat showing, I have the video of my game capture device over the screen that's showing out of Twitch, and then the chat's on the right-hand side. But since there's a little bit of a delay when I play or when I do something to when you see it, and when you also hear my voice, it's also something I can look back, it's like, hey, what was that? But I can look behind and see, oh, wait a minute, that was weird. At first I thought I bounced on him. I thought I just jumped through that enemy without dying. I was like, wait a second, what was that all about? One thing I am going to do, though, to avoid dying is I'm going to throw apples at these snails or slugs, wherever they are. And I'm actually going to just get this to come down again and make this jump one more time. Because there's the apple again, which we saw in the first level. That will hurt me if I touch it, so I got to be careful about that. But also, at the same time, I need to... Okay, it won't hurt me when I'm holding on to the lamp like that, but it'll go down the hill just like it did before, so I want to avoid that. Alright, I also want to see what's over here. You don't necessarily have to go this way. Going down the way we went, or the way the apple went, is how you're supposed to go. Uh-oh, can I get up there? I can, but there's no reason. Well, he's not there, there's not. Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't like the letters. The letter A. They bounce erratically, and they're hard to hit with apples. But there is health over here, so we should be fine. again, enjoy more of the nice atmosphere and music of the library. Oh, there we go. More of the A's. Look. Wait a minute. I've been up here before. I just want to see this. Oh, right. Okay, that's what it is. This is a bonus area. But I'm a little nervous because I think I might get hit by those apples, and I can't make that jump on my own, so... Or I'll get hit by the A's, I should say. A for apple, fitting, but... Alright, kill one of them. I don't think they... Yeah, they don't follow me if I do that, but I need to time this specifically. When they jump there... Okay, I got killed, but... Alright, I had to time my jump to bounce up there to get the health, but... Okay, I lied when I said there aren't checkpoints, because technically all of those areas I'm going into, the milk bottle and the teacup, act as checkpoints. So actually, in that way, it's good I went into the teacup, because otherwise I would have been back at the milk bottle again. Alright, also I'm going to see if I can get that without doing that. Actually, you know what? I show off what that was. Let's just run down and avoid the milk, which also goes in that teacup, which I guess I could go in as well. You know, let's do this. Again, I don't need to go in this, but... I think there are items in here. Or at least there's, gems, if nothing else. Okay, there's apples, so alright, that'll be maybe a slight useful. But again, we're gonna complete this game, we're going all the way. Not that we're necessarily gonna need that checkpoint again, because we're coming towards the end of the level as it is. As you saw when I went down to that hole, we got into the milk bottle. And this is where the end of the level is. Okay, actually, I lied. We're getting only two gems here, but we have the boss here, which is, this guy, well, it's Pete's Dragon, kinda, or at least the face looks like him. But anyway, you have to bounce on him. He's not too hard to avoid, but the hardest part of it is when he comes out, when he does that arch down by you, or if he comes out right next to you, be able to time where you're gonna bounce on him. Like that. Yeah, see, I got hit just as that was happening. But he'll also change his pattern that way. He'll just kind of throw out that way. But again, sometimes when he's right there, he'll just go about that way. But I killed him, so we're good. Alright, so there's the blue gem. Very strong mouse. We still have much more to do before we can reach Mini. And we do, and that's even though next level is the last one. Or at least, the last world, anyway. And I just got an extra life. Perfect. What's the last one as far as main gameplay, and then we gotta fight Miserable. But we have one more stairs to climb. And here we have one more area. This is the last door. What could be in this room? Well, we have the castle. And going back to when I played Castlevania Bloodlines a few weeks ago, we have candles we could pick up. And when you pick up candles, Mickey's kind of a badass in this game in the sense that in this stage, you throw fireballs. So yeah. I have fire that I can use when I pick up pick up the items we got. While also avoiding the mace-throwing enemies, which I think you can bounce off of those. As to be honest, you can bounce off a lot of things in this game, so it's actually pretty forgiving that way. This is actually, even though this is the last world of the game, this is kind of a long one, and also the other thing is, as I walk along here, yeah, I want to be careful for that reason, because some of these guys have axes, they'll just splice. But as long as you jump that way, you should be fine. This area is going to pay to explore because we have a lot of hidden items we can find. Alright, so I think there's one down here. Alright, looks like that, yeah, looks like fires are going to save them with those, or that shield isn't going to save them from fireballs. But I don't think they give you many fireballs, so you got to be careful. And I don't know if they give you, like, bags in this world as they do in the other ones. Oh! Okay, that was close. Again, that's the beauty of your bounce attack, or your... Yeah, bounce attack, that's what they call it. Some people call it a butt bounce, but I think the manual specifically calls it a bounce attack. Oh, except in that case where it gets... Oh, right, that was... Okay, that was one area that I missed. Let me show that off. I think I can get the enemies to come back. I believe this game is regenerating bad guys. Yes, they do. Okay, well, yes, it does. So, what I want to do is get them over here. And I think I can bounce off the mace specifically. Well, we'll see when that happens. Yes, I can. Alright, so bouncing off of the mace, or the enemies, gets me in this room where I get 4 candles and 2 stars. So there we go. That's going to be good. Yeah, in that case, it's going to be paying to do this. That also help for my special bonus, because even though this is the last world, we will still get a score bonus at the end of it. Yeah, and also be careful of these crushing blocks. They don't all crush. Oh, right, these are the ones you run across, in a row. There's some area, I think there's one coming up that doesn't have them all fall down, so that's why I was doing that. Yeah, right here. There's some in the middle, but I'm being really reckless. Okay, there we go. Okay, now this next section, this is a little tough, because I gotta jump on this platform. It's gonna start falling. Okay, no, I'm thinking of coming up a little later. There's another area where you hit a falling platform like that, and then you'll also, at the bottom of it is purple goop, and if you hit that, it's a one-hit kill. So you don't want to do that. Also want to avoid the cannonballs, whether they are rolling down this way, or the boulders. Also, this is the part where using your fireballs is going to come in handy. Oh, yeah, right here. Okay, so that's what I need to do. I need to jump up. Oh, or just fall in and die. Alright, so yeah, that's why you want to be wary of that, and unfortunately it takes us back to the beginning, but I still have all my items, so it should be alright. But I think I'm going to need to go back and get those health items. And again, I have 5 tries, and here's the other thing about this. I mentioned on hard mode you don't get continues. You get, I think, 2 on normal, so we're not losing this game. Okay, yeah, there's no item in here. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, I think it was just that area I had to bounce over the wall for. Alright, so... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Alright, I'll kill one of them. Just wait till the other one comes back. May as well take a drink of my water while I'm waiting, and keep an eye on where it is. Alright, I didn't make it. I do want to get that because I want to have a little bit of insurance as I go along. At least as far as this section of the level. But again, just a little patience, I should be good. Also, it's easier that way. I guess I killed the wrong one. Oh, there's only one when I die. Okay, that's interesting. I did not know that. So they don't all come back. That's unique. I never knew that. Or maybe, I wonder, because when I did it before, I didn't kill either of those enemies. Okay, so now I remember run underneath those. Okay, that's a nice little effect. The lightning outside, although there's not much else to it. All right, so yeah, wait for that to fall, and it's each in between, except for the last one. Yeah, that's close. I mean, I'm just barely touching that thing, or at least it looks like I am. But yeah, Mickey's nose does not count as a hitbox. So it's very nice. Actually, in this case, just let myself fall. There we go. Alright, now I remember what I'm doing for this, so I'm gonna kill these guys with the fire, and then we're gonna run down the hill and make the jump at the end. It's a little weird because when you're running like that, again, you saw I got a lot more momentum that way. It's sometimes hard to tell like how that's going to be looking. Also, this is another part. I got to duck underneath here to avoid getting hit, which I think I have to duck. I may as well, though. Alright, there we go. Alright, just hit the wall there. I think these blocks fall, if I'm correct. Or, yes, they do. Okay. Right. Actually, yeah, the reason I did that is because I want to get whatever's up there on the left. And again, by going off screen, everything will come back. So, including the item, the platform that you jump on. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is jump on this one here, and then just jump over here. There we go. Alright, gems. Alright, it's still something, so I'm almost at 250,000 points now. I guess the other thing I could feasibly do to make this is bounce on the maces, but I may as well not. That's fine, because I'm going to be getting fireballs when I go over here anyway. Yeah, I have to watch out for those little orbs coming out of there. I don't think they can hurt you. Okay, I can destroy them as well. Yeah, I think you can also bounce on them, but I don't want to take a chance on that. Actually, yeah, I think you can, because I think you need to do that in order to get up there, and okay, there's nothing up there. Okay, this is the part I was scared about, because that platform is going to fall. It's going to fall into one of these. The way to avoid this, hold left, and then jump. And also at this point, jump over these before they fall in. Alright. And avoid those bubbles. I mean, coming out of something as deadly as this makes sense. Okay, here we go. Actually, you know, I guess we're getting into, like, Mad Doctor imagery with this game. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because we have the skull bridge. They'll collapse when I walk over them, but as long as I keep walking, we'll be fine. Or just jump. Oh, no. Okay, these will not. Never mind. Alright, we're at the end of this section anyway. Okay, and we got another gem. As we fall. This is the Indigo Gem. You only need one more gem. Go get it and save many. These, by the way, if you haven't caught on to this now... Actually, I didn't mention this, but if you haven't caught on, we're getting all the gems and the colors of the rainbow. And now we're swimming again. So, this is a little bit of a tougher area because we have currents that are going here, and also, yeah, the fish come, and I can't defend myself. You can't defend yourself underwater, and I can't throw fireballs under the water, so you have to go about it this way. Right there, actually, okay, so you can get packets of fireballs here, so that's fine. But at least we're done with that area. Alright, here we are, the clock tower. This is where it's really putting your platforming skills to the test. I don't believe there are bottomless pits here, but falling can be worse than death in a lot of cases. But I'm walking down the bottom to see if there's any enemies. Thankfully, there are none. Or enemies or items, I should say. Thankfully, there are no enemies. Sadly, there are no items. Also, those bats, you're going to hate them here because they go in a very erratic pattern. Also, here are the gears. They will fall when you jump on them. At least those will. There's some other ones that'll just spin like this. And actually, it doesn't affect you. I think there's some that do. So, we'll see that. Also, crushing devices. I guess, actually, now that I think about it, another Castlevania thing. I'm going to wait to see how they react. Okay, so I do have a little bit of time to get in the middle. Okay, yeah, okay, here we go. These gears will move, and I'm moving on my own. I'm not touching the D-pad at all. So you have to basically keep jumping on them in order to get to the next one, and then jump off of that one, which pushes forward and push me into the bat, unfortunately. One thing I am going to try and do is... I'll kill the bat, I think, if I can. There we go, and jump up here. I think there's another way to do that, but I'm doing it this way. Oh yeah, I'm doing this for health, so... Alright, I'm happy I went that way, but I went down that way, so that's not so hot. There we go. There we go, the old pendulum. Alright, I'm not going to be able to make that. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Before I go... Oh yeah, I missed the health over here. Alright, so we're all set. Yeah, we're doing pretty well. We should be alright. There we go, and thankfully this will not push you off, but you need to make the jump at the end. And make that jump as well, and not fall off and not get hit by the bat. You do have a second before they fall, so you can use that to get yourself ready for your jump. Also get some points. Yeah, this is where things are getting a little hard because we have the spinning gears. Yeah, and the bats. Oh, no, no, no. It's just more annoying than anything, but that's fine. I mean, we gotta fight to save Minnie anyway, so it makes sense. There we go, made it. And with that, that's the end of the section, but we have a boss to fight. It's not Miserville. We'll get to her, don't you worry, we're taking care of her next. Oh, after this, but we got, I guess, the Green Giant, and, okay, he does that block thing. Now what you need to do is you need to wait for him to, when he has his face like that, he does a swipe, and then you have to jump on him, or bounce on him. I just have to time it right. The way to, the tail is his face. When he does that, when he grits his teeth like that, that's when he does the swing and then you can bounce on him. Otherwise, he'll block himself like that. And again, I can kill him with fireballs as well, but if I do that, it takes more hits. Jumps will be more powerful here, and he also will change his jump pattern a little bit. With enough hits, he'll be done, and as he's getting more and more red. I think that's it. Oh, no, he's not. Okay. Actually, I don't even think Miserville takes this many hits. Ah, jumped too early and then jumped into his fist. Or into his whatever he's holding. Or his, I guess it's a hammer. Maybe. Yeah, it is a hammer. You have to kind of squint your eyes as he's doing that swing to see it, but that's... Just patience will be fine here, and timing and not getting hit by him when he punches you. Is he dead? There we go, got him. Alright. There we go. So there's the last gem, the violet gem. Now we have to fight Miserville. Yeah, we didn't fight her last time, we paid her off, but we gotta take care of this business right now. Yeah, not a very good technical bonus on my part, but it's fine. So you're thinking, alright, we paid her off in practice mode in order to save Minnie, so what happened here? How are we going to get over there? Well, you know, he said it's Rainbow Bridge, or Rainbow, sorry, gave it away. Rainbow Gems makes a rainbow bridge to get over to the tower. There we go. Last challenge. Here's Miserville. This is the last boss of the game. Now, she shows her true form. It's more in the style of Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Now, she takes only 5 hits, but here's what she does. She'll teleport around into 4 different areas. When she does that, you want to jump out of the way because those ghosts, you can bounce off them, but if they come in towards you, either hitting you that way or when she summons them, they will hurt you. The best place she can go to here, honestly, is on the right. Or the left, I guess, feasibly. Yeah, I'm just going to wait. Yeah, because you can bounce on those, but they can technically penetrate your bounce, and you can get yourself hurt. Actually, that's probably the best place. Put her right there, and then bounce on top. Okay, I was too late. But again, she doesn't take many hits. She only takes 5, and I'm thinking about 2 or 3. Oh. Oh, unfortunately, she's a hitbox. Also, by the way, if I do end up somehow getting a game over here, or not a game over, losing all my continues, it's not happening. But if that happens for some crazy reason, I realized I had a save state placed when I played this game months ago on this. I don't know why, at this boss, but anyway, we're all set if that happens. But there we go. Alright. Yeah, that's good. I want to get her there. Because when she appears on the right, I can just jump to instantly get out of the way of the ghost. And then kind of bounce on the side that way, because then when she gets rid of them, I'm in a prime spot to hit her. Actually, technically, that's also a good spot, because then I can just jump out that way. Or she'll kill me with the ghost again. Alright. I think this is the part of the game I practiced. Inadvertently, because I didn't remember I had a save state there. Yeah, again, you have to jump right on her head, otherwise it won't count. Which also, I guess, is the other reason why bouncing like that is good, but when she's in the center like that, that's probably the easier way. Just wait and then jump on her that way. Or bounce on her. And then jump up here. You gotta be quick to hit her. There we go. Yeah, I guess you slide a little bit when you do those jumps, but I rarely saw that. I'm thinking back when I slid and died, but... Alright. Actually, that's probably the other thing. I should just wait if she's over there again. Alright, one more hit and we have her. Oh, oh, that was close. Ah, just got hit by it. Alright. Actually, on the video playback, it didn't look like I even got hit by it, but rest assured I did. Yeah, again, she shoots those out, though, in 8 directions. So almost like diagonal, or on diagonals and up, down, left, and right. So as long as you pay attention to that, you should be fine. Actually, I'm in a good pattern here of where she's going, because it's random where she appears. And it's not based on your position. She'll just randomly pick somewhere to be. There we go. Yeah, because I want to be quick to hit her, but at the same time, I don't want to be too slow to miss her. Alright, there we go. We're actually getting a good pattern here. And one more hit, and we should have her. Ah, that's good. It's going to be right in the center. With that, I think we should be done. Alright, here we go. Let's use the power of that gem. Oh, I get a life while I kill her. Perfect. Alright, but anyway, we turned her back into her old witch self. Apparently now she is good again. Or she realizes this castle's coming down and the way's blocked. And she just wants to, you know, save herself and feasibly, I guess, take us along with her. Alright, there we go. Yeah, I think, yeah, she does turn good, technically. But again, I had to knock it out of her and then use the gem to literally suck the evil out. But we did it, and we're getting a nice little, I guess, leisurely seat ride back. Has some nice fireworks play. Now we are back at the cliffside in Vera City where we started. And yeah, I mean, she seems like she's going to be okay so far. At least until the remake. We'll get to the remake at some point, but there we are. Yeah, Minnie's certainly appreciative, and Mickey is very happy to be able to have Minnie back. As am I, because, yeah, it's nice to be able to be back and see both of these characters there and have our continue our nice little dance over the end credits, which are kind of a take on the main cinematic, but they kind of put it into a little more of a waltz. So that is Castle of Illusion. We have one more thing we're going to see as far as the end of the credits, but yeah, I can't believe it's been 30 years since this game came out. In Japan, admittedly. It was about a month after when it came out in the US, but the first appearance of this game, 30 years ago today, and what a wonderful game it is. Beautiful graphics, great audio, a true sense of magic in the way you want in a Mickey Mouse game, and a wide variety of difficulty options to satisfy gamers of any age. If you've never touched a controller before, you're set with practice mode. If you're okay with gaming or you think you're going to be alright, just want a decent enough challenge, something that's not going to completely demolish you, normal mode, and if you want that hard experience, hard mode. But if you're going to do hard mode, I would suggest using the Sega Genesis Mini for that. Yeah, hopefully, if there's anything I hope I made clear to you through my play of this and showing off everything is I just adore this game. This is, in a lot of ways, this is my childhood. The idea of having a Mickey Mouse game, the idea of the licensed game, kind of on the back of Animaniacs last week, being this kind of nice force, although this is a much better game than Animaniacs is. As good as that was, not as much as I like it, but this is a much nicer and better and more polished game. And for 1990, really showing off what 16 bits could do before Sonic came around, this is a great, great game, and I cannot recommend it highly enough, and I am so happy that Sega put this onto the humans. Again, you can get the Genesis game for not too much money. It's like 20 so bucks. but on this unit as well. It's, again, preserving this for future generations, which I think that's more what I want to do above anything else. Just show that, yeah, retro gaming is still alive and well. There's a lot of good stuff to be had, great stuff. If you ever played this game, Mickey Mouse fan or not, I highly recommend it. And it is definitely one of the highlights of the Genesis. One other thing we also see is that this actually was us watching a movie, technically, as we see the curtain go down. That seems insignificant, but actually that's a detail that the remake builds on, because the remake opens with the idea of it watching a movie with other characters in the audience, and then also with the fact that that version has a narrator, almost like Bastion in a little bit, where you go certain areas, the narrator is saying, like, Mickey went through the door and noticed something was very strange. And it's really nice. I do like that touch. At some point, we can talk about the remake. I could show you the remake, because I do have it for the Xbox 360, and just play on my Xbox One, and we'll play on Xbox Series X if you have one of those. If so, you're a lucky person from what I understand, because those are getting hard to find, as are PlayStation 5s. But, yeah, so that is my exploration, my love-in, if you want to tell it that, of Castle of Illusion. I adore this game so much, and again, I don't care what age you are, what your proficiency in games are, even whether you like platformers necessarily, because in some ways this really does kind of transcend that in the way that a lot of Mickey Mouse properties do. And in that way, I really see this as... It's one of those things that sometimes people ask me, what are some of the games you'd say would have the widest appeal, including to people who have never played games before? And I would say that this is kind of a prime example of that. I can think of some games that are like that. I can think of certain games based on movies that really kind of brought you into the experience. I can think of all things that sound weird, Age of Empires 2, even though it's a real-time strategy game, that's a very accessible game, also has a lot of depth and strategy, to the point where one of my brother's ex-girlfriends, who's not a big fan of gaming, loved that game. And I think there's something to be said about that. Like something like Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario, obviously. I mean, when you think of a lot of games, again, that you can, have an approachable situation, be able to play with your family, really get your family into gaming, or get your young children or siblings or whoever who might not think gaming is of an interest to them into gaming, this might be one of those to do. And again, it also lives up to the promise of, I think, what we want out of every licensed game we buy. We buy a game based on a franchise or a property or a character because we want to have an interactive experience with that character, with that license, really give us a sense of what that's like, have a fun time, not feel like our money was wasted, not feel like they just took the license and put it into something subpar. Let me tell you, Sega did not do that at all with this game. They really brought their A-game to this. And to start the Illusion series with this game, which then continued with the Sega Master and Game Gear versions of this, which are different games. They're not the same game. So it continued with that, then World of Illusion, which we played on the Genesis, Land of Illusion for the Sega Game Gear, and also the Sega Master System as well, which is a terrific game. I'd love to show that off. If I do, I'd probably have to do it with an emulator. I'd have to get a Retro Gen 5 for that, because I don't have a Sega Master either to get that version. And then the only one I haven't played, which is Legend of Illusion, which is on the Game Gear. But that's one I definitely want to get. I definitely need to get a new Game Gear for that one. But yeah, each of these games, of the ones I've played, but even what I've seen of the ones I haven't, they really realize that promise of what is it like to be able to play a game with Mickey Mouse, get that magical experience that really draws you in, has you play until the end, is approachable enough to make it easy to get into, but also in-depth enough to keep you playing all the way to the end and have a lot of interesting, intricacies in between. So, and I guess the only other example as far as, again, is that I guess the last game in the series was the remake of this, which, again, I'll go into that at some point to show that off. And then the only other example I can think of as far as this, because I think this was re-released on the Sega Saturn in Japan. There was there's a collection called I Love Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, which included this. I think it included World of Illusion, and it included Quackshot, which is not specifically an Illusion game exactly, but it's made by the same developers as this and the other ones. And that's an interesting one, too. That's one I could show off. And again, because I actually recently just played that one. I actually did not grow up on that one like I did with this one. The other Illusion games, besides the Game Gear of this and the Legend of Illusion, I grew up on, and Also a good situation back then that, you know, a good choice as far as me being a young child, me and my brother playing this game, or playing all of the games feasibly, our parents not concerned that this was something that was going to corrupt us, and it definitely doesn't, but something that's fun enough that, hey, they might want to play it. Or even with Land of Illusion, just to go into that briefly, just the thought of, again, I probably should tell this story when I get to that one, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to, so I'll tell it now. I remember when I was in grade school, I think the second grade, there was one day when my brother was really sick, so he had to stay home, I had to go into school. He played that game, Land of Illusion, pretty much all day and almost beat it, and I was kind of jealous. Like, we never got past a certain area, but it was like, no, I played it enough, and I got past it. Oh, and there's the thing with the apple again, showing almost what happens if he gets hit. By the way, if he gets hit there, I didn't show this off, he'll be flattened. There is a nice animation of that where it kind of shows him kind of flattened and, you know, shaken a little. It's not an insta-kill, but it does hurt, so it's something we'll avoid. I did avoid it, but yeah, just to show that off since it's reminding me going through the demo. So, yeah, I think with that, with me going into all my memories of this game, all my memories of the other Illusion games, it being a great showcase of the Genesis, me showing off the Genesis Mini, me showing off the practice mode of this as well, I think that's going to do it for Super Old Game Saturday for this week. As far as next week, I haven't really necessarily got to thinking what I should be covering. Because I spent most of the past couple weeks covering stuff from Konami, and then this, and I talked about this. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's some other systems that I haven't touched recently. Because I've done stuff for Genesis, I've done stuff for Super Nintendo, I've done stuff for N64. I did some stuff for PlayStation and PlayStation 2. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to play next week. I mean, I guess I could say maybe I'll theme something around the Thanksgiving holiday, although in some ways I kind of theming this that way because, in all honesty, I kind of was handling like a three-prong perspective to this game as far as showing off the Genesis Mini, the practice mode, and the actual game, and beating it. And I guess, in a way, I mean, I guess it's like an equivalent, it's like a three-course meal that way. And I guess the dessert was me beating it. And also all the stories that I'm telling about this game, loving it, playing it, renting it when I was younger, experiencing that for the first time, and just kind of being captivated. And, yeah, so, I mean, I guess if I'm going to do something next week, I don't know what I would think necessarily to get into as far as a Thanksgiving-related game, or, then again, feasibly anything. I mean, I guess I could look at Life Force, but again, I need some practice for that one. I've barely played it. In fact, I don't think I played it until the Switch version came out. At least they put it on the NES side of the Switch. So that would not necessarily be something I would be comfortable jumping into right away, because otherwise it's going to look like I'm doing a terrible job at it, unlike this game. Yeah, this is a game I've been playing 30 years now, so, and I hope to play it 30 more years, because it is terrific. Yeah, so, I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I mean, I guess, chat, I'm open to more suggestions you might have while I keep, keeping this going, I guess, for now. But whatever I pick, or whatever you might suggest, and whatever I decide to do, I mean, I'll definitely be here again next week, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Metro Life Force playing a bunch of daycare. That is an interesting... Alright, daycare, huh? That's an interesting... Considering how hard Life Force is... Okay, well, I don't know if it's super hard compared to some other games Konami made, but that's an interesting case. A daycare that's playing Life Force. That must be a pretty badass daycare. Like, yeah. Playing a kind of difficult game like that. I mean, it's not insanely difficult. I mean, actually, no. What I could do... I could play... here's what I'm going to do. For next week, I'm going to look around. I'm going to see if I can't find a shoot-'em-up in the style of something like a Life Force. Because I haven't played Life Force that much, and I don't know how much time I'm going to be able to have this week, or this coming week, even with days off, to be able to play it enough to show it. I'll look through what I have as far as shooters. Or I might... I guess one thing I also could do is I could also... And again, if chat would be interested in this, maybe... For the systems I could be doing it with, have like a grab bag of stuff. Show up almost like a rapid fire round robin situation of a couple games I might like maybe a bit of a sample. Actually, if that's the case, I could do Life Force feasibly. I could take a look at that. We could look at the NES side of the Nintendo Switch outside of what I played on it, which is Mario 2, and we can do that. It's either that or I was thinking one other game because it's also a Konami shooter. Or video games are allowed until they had different stuff. Okay, all right. I wonder how old were the kids there? Just out of curiosity, were they necessarily really young, really old, like 5? So I guess that's going back a ways. I mean, I don't know necessarily how daycare is working today or what that works like, whether it's in physical or whatever now. But yeah, so I mean, I'd be curious again how it ages on. But again, I'm thinking either maybe look at Nintendo Switch Online for the NES, or the other thing I was thinking of is taking another look at another Konami shooter, because I have Detana Twin Beat for the Xbox 360, which you can't buy it anymore on that. You can buy it on the Switch, weirdly enough. Show that off and maybe show off some other stuff between, because again, in that case, I could easily switch between games. I said months ago when I did Rayman that I wanted to switch between a bunch of launch games from the PlayStation, but the way there's a distortion with the video feed when I do the reset on my PlayStation 2 made it so I couldn't do it. Elementary school and cool high school stuff. Okay, so yeah, they clearly are in touch with what the kids want, or again, my attitude, which is you want to get your kids into gaming or get kids into gaming, you get them in early, or you do that winking eye thing that Miserabel's doing over there. But yeah, so I mean, but again, with the Switch and the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One technically as well, I can switch between games like it's split. And they got graduated and we got me adults. Well, I mean, again, part of growing up, getting that authoritarian aspect, but then also getting the point where you end up being your own authoritarian for the most part. I mean, obviously, job and things like that, you'll have somebody you report to usually, unless you own a company or something. But yeah, so it's at least that trajectory. And then again, being in control of something. Even like now, me in control of the fact of I'm playing games or I'm picking what games to play, but obviously open to suggestions as far as what they are. But I do like that idea of kind of taking a bunch of different things and we'll just take in a little bit of a sample, because then it also drops pressure on me to say like, oh, I gotta beat a game. This one I knew I could do, so that's why I was doing it. Animaniacs a couple weeks ago, I knew I could do, that's why I did it. As far as something like that, I mean, I could just again like maybe give like a half an arcade shooter. Yeah, I could. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I do like that idea. You know what? I might do that. I'll look through what the Switch Online has as far as its NES side, and Life Force is one of them. I know for a fact Life Force is up there. So, we can go through a bunch of stuff. In fact, yeah, I might. Actually, I haven't pulled the Switch out in a while, so yeah, we can take a brief journey of that. I mean, going back to me looking at the Genesis Mini and everything that's on it, we can do the same. That's a genre that died to an extent. It also kind of changed in some way with like what constitutes an arcade shooter. I mean, because in some ways it seems like in a lot of ways, it's funny you mentioned that, a lot of ideas like the arcade shooter, in a way, almost take something like Quake 3 or Unreal Tournament or something like that, almost as like becoming the arcade shooter in the sense that, all right, it's kind of this quick burst situation, but I know what you're saying, stuff like, again, Life Force or Contra or things to that degree, you don't see it as much anymore, although, yeah, I mean, no, that's fine. I mean, as I said, with Life Force, what I can do is I can just give it like a half an hour just to give like a window into it, because it'll also be, in a way, a discovery for me, because I haven't necessarily played it that much, and then we can mix it up. Actually, no, in that case, I could probably do it into, because I'm about running on 2 hours on this now, I could pick 4 games on that. I'll pick Life Force as one of them, for sure. But then 3 other ones. Maybe one more for the chat. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you say that as far as cheating on that, which, I mean, I guess I could. But, and again, the Switch has the save state situation feasibly. Or feasibly, just play it for half hour, see how far we get. And if I'm not doing well, again, position it as the idea as a, I guess a smorgasbord of stuff, because it's something I've been thinking about. I'm thinking, all right, I'm picking individual games, but I'm also thinking, well, why don't I have like a variety of stuff? And one thing I was also thinking, I could feasibly do this as far as the original Xbox, which is, I have a bunch of demo discs from the Xbox magazine. Also on the Dreamcast, I have a bunch of demos of that, of stuff I don't necessarily even own on those systems. So we could, well, actually, yeah, and I do have the Namco Museum arcade pack on the Switch, which I think has Galaxian in it. Or if it doesn't, I have the collection on the 360 that has it. So, yeah, I like the Switch idea. I think next week we're going to take a tour of the Nintendo Switch Online for NES, and Life Force will be one of them. And we're going to take a look and see what it's got. And again, also put in the Namco Museum arcade pack as well. We'll take a look at that just for the purpose of being able to quickly switch between things. Because the Switch and the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One of the systems I own let me do that lickety split. So, or the systems I own that I stream that I can do that because I haven't checked what I'm doing with PC. I will do PC at some point. I absolutely will. I just got to figure out what I'm doing with that, what I'm going to play, how I'm going to show. But yeah, we're going to do a smorgasbord. Actually, you know what? In that way, that does tie in with Thanksgiving when I think about it, because you'll have been spending a week, having a lot of food or just being into that perspective. You have a couple days to have relaxed, I guess, from that. But make it almost like a bit of a feast. Make it a video game feast. Like we're taking a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of column A, try some of column B, all that. So yeah, so next week we're going to take a look at the Nintendo Switch Online. We'll look at Life Force, and I'll pick a couple of the things that are on that. In fact, I might take a look at that in a little bit to see what's going on. But yeah, with that, I think I have talked long enough for Super Old Game Saturday. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't been able to tell with this one, this is one I came strongly prepared for. This is one I've been waiting to do. As soon as I found out this year we were going to have the 30th anniversary of this on a Saturday, I said, I have to do this on the 30th anniversary. That's what this is going to be. And I had such a great time playing through this, showing it to you. Because of this war of mine, I could resume my Game Pass subscription and show Frostpunk off, because that is on Game Pass for the Xbox One. Again, that's one way of going about it, and I think Frostpunk is on the Switch as well. I don't know if this is War of Mine is on Switch. It might be. Is everybody? I think War of Mine is. I don't know if Frostpunk is. I think Frostpunk was rated teen, if I remember correctly, when showing the menu. But either way, it's fine. But yeah, okay, but again, thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy I got to talk about this game. I hope you had as good a time watching this and good a time going down memory lane with the Genesis Mini, which I recommend very highly, and it's on sale at Amazon for $50 now if you don't have it. So, great gift for Christmas if you want to do some Black Friday shopping. That's one way to go. Or for someone else special in your life who loves gaming, to get that. And Castle Illusion's on there. Castle Illusion's also a great game, whether you're playing on the Genesis or on this unit or on Saturn or wherever you want to go. Yeah, it's definitely dark. A twist from this, except for the fact, we're in lightning mode again, going through the demo, which I've run through about 10 times now since me talking this post-game aspect. But again, yeah, this was a good one. This was a fun one. The game's great. The playthrough is great. It's games like this that I really feel in my element for, as far as being able to kind of just wax philosophic and historical and all those wonderful things. So, thank you so much for watching Super Old Game Saturday. I appreciate you all coming to visit, spending your Saturday going back with gaming, have a nice, relaxing time, talking about games and history. There you go. We're thankful we're not in a war-torn country, but again, it's like we got a place where we can just play whatever we want, have a nice, fun time, or a stressful time if that's what we're after. But again, enjoying the joys of gaming and all the variances that it has. So, with that, I think I am hitting about 2 hours. I'm not bound by a time limit for this, but I think with that, it's at least double what it was last week for Animaniacs. So, with that, I think I will sign off for Super Old Game Saturday. If you want retro gaming, something relaxing, see something you maybe haven't played before, haven't played in a while, Saturday nights at 7 p.m., that's where you want to be, right here.